We are live. I'd like to welcome everyone to another episode of Heart to Heart with Bree. Tonight's guest is Georgia Skyers. Would you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Georgia, and I live in Florida. I am a registered nurse and a sexuality counselor, and I deal with any and all things women's sexual health. I help with desire struggles, struggles with painful intercourse, struggles with connection and intimacy in relationships, just anything that resides in the area of sex and intimacy for women.
Thank you so much, Georgia. And I'd like to say to the viewers, whether you watch the live or the replay, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them. And I would like to encourage the viewers tonight during the live, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them. Our topic tonight is a conversation about sexual health and personal hygiene for mature couples. So my first question is, can mature couples enjoy a mutually satisfying sex life in spite of declining health?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say that as well with zero hesitation. A satisfying sex life is beyond possible. It's happening every single day in our mature couples. And I want to go out there and use the word mature, being people in their 70s and even 80s, right? So when we talk about sex in the aging population, people look at you like, what are the, what business do they have still doing this? They have all the business because your
That's right.
sexuality lasts all the way till you're covered in the grave. And
Yeah.
then I know that some studies may need to be done to figure out if it goes on beyond the grave, but I'm pretty sure something's going on. But your sexuality stays with you until they close the books on you.
And I'm so glad you said that. And you know what? I think it's kind of arrogant that people would think,
Oh,
younger people like, oh, because you're
oh,
past a certain age that you no longer experience sexual pleasure or you lose a desire. I'd like to welcome Mikey Go. Thank you so much for tuning in, Mikey. My next question is, how important is honest and open communication?
that's everything. Honest and open communication is everything. You cannot have you can't have fulfilling intimate relationships without open, honest communication. In fact, you can't have any relationship of any sort without open, honest communication. But if you can't talk to someone, if you can't honestly talk and relate to someone, intimacy is going to be fractured anyway. And I know it sounds simple, but for many couples, especially if you've been together forever, these are our long term relationships. Honest communications about sex, desire are extremely important because it may have changed from
Yes,
what it was when the two of you connected. And if you're in a new relationship, you're absolutely going to have to communicate everything that you desire, that's a must have for you, that's a I'd prefer not to have type of situation. So communication is important at any stage of the relationship, but especially if you're in long term relationship, and especially if you're older, because again, you've got to talk about are you on certain medications that's going to do certain things? Do you have a certain health condition that's going to interfere with anything? So you absolutely have to have open and honest communication.
yeah, I think communication is everything. And I
Mhm.
have found, like, I was married for around 25 years, and that was something that definitely diminished over the years. Communication was like non-existent at the end. And I would definitely say that I do believe that is a relationship killer. It's
Mhm.
like if you're supposed to be one and you're not communicating, I mean, there's no
It's not happening.
connection. Right.
It's not happening.
Yeah, definitely. Now, as we age, how important is affection as sexual activity declines?
Okay. It's more important than people realize. Is sexual activity going to decline? Yes. And we could talk about that later, how it declines.
Yes.
But as as people get older, the the need for connection, for tenderness, for touch, for closeness amplifies because the sex is going to change, right?
Yes.
So sex will slow down, but touch will increase. Tenderness increases, bonding increases, or they should if this is something that the couple prioritizes. So if
Yes.
you want intimacy to stay alive, you have to become more affectionate. You have to touch more, say more, um, do more in a non-sexual way.
And it's really not that complicated, right? I mean,
It's not. It's the
holding
small
hands,
stuff. It's the
little
rub my
kiss.
feet.
Yeah,
It's
having
it's the let's
conversation.
sit and have dinner together.
Yes.
It's those little things, and it's important as the relationship ages because, like you said, the longer we are together, the more we become committed to our extra things that we do in community, the more things we do at church or wherever we do them. The men have their men's group, the women have their women's group. So the couple loses connection, and they think we're all good because we've been together so long, so we're good. And that's not necessarily the case. We're together, we're living in this house together, but we're really not good, intimately speaking, anyways.
Yeah. Now, would you agree that as intimacy increases, as affection increases, that there's a feeling of safety that both
Yes.
partners may come to enjoy in the relationship?
Yes, yes. And that's what it is, right? As a society, when we talk about sex, we really are focused on the physical act of sex, the in the moment act. But we don't look at those intimate moments that lead up to sex. And I have this thing that I say that a one night stand where you met someone and got it together on the street is different from your relationship with your person. And that relationship requires more. It requires more affection. It requires more touch. It requires more soft talking. It requires safety. Because the reality is, desire does not exist where safety is not present.
I
If,
agree.
if, if there's not safety in the relationship, arousal and desire is not even going to happen.
I definitely agree with that. And I think that as health issues begin to surface, I
Mhm.
think there's a certain amount of vulnerability that creeps in for the
Yes.
aging. And I
Yes.
think that vulnerability, I think, especially for men, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think they're not comfortable with vulnerability. And I think that's why it is important to communicate. And I
Hmm.
think it is so important to be affectionate because
Hmm.
I've had many conversations with women over the years, and the impression that I get is that men, and we'll talk about erectile dysfunction in a little bit, but
Hmm.
especially when something like that is occurring, that men tend to withdraw. You
Yes.
know, they pull away their affection, and it really does kill the relationship. So I just want you to give the men ideas, and with women, the women too, but how easy is it to be affectionate? Because I think some people think it's something elaborate that has to take place in order to display affection.
You know what? Bree, you are so right. The thing is, I don't want to speak for all men, but I
Yes.
really I really just want to speak for the men folk.
Yeah.
When we talk about affection, somehow, and again, when I speak, I don't mean 100% of the population, but let's talk
Right.
about the large majority. We often think that it has to lead to something, like there's a final destination when it comes to intimacy. And so men often don't view the let's cuddle on the couch, let's get together under this blanket and watch a movie. That to them typically becomes, yeah, well, what is it going to lead to?
Right.
And I don't want it to lead to that because I'm having some issues that I haven't communicated with you or anyone else for that matter.
Yes.
And so, because at this point they tend to want to step away from sex because they don't feel like they're functioning properly. And so sex becomes an anxiety for creating issue for them. So when the female partner says, listen, let's just lay in bed and hug all night, that becomes a scary thing for them because they think it's going to lead somewhere. So if we redefine intimacy in our relationships to say, I really just want to cuddle, I really just want to give you a massage, I really just want to sit and rub your chin and talk about some things that's been on my mind. That's intimacy at its highest. That's affection at its highest. Sit here. I've had a long day. Just rub my forehead. Just rub my shoulders. That type of affection doesn't have to. We don't have to lead to a grand finale somewhere.
Right.
That is the whole moment. The moment is the back rub, the foot rub, the hugs. That's the moment.
And I think, a lot of women would be quite content with that.
I
You
think so
know,
too.
just to have someone's arms around them, feeling
Yes,
safe, feeling content, and feeling
yes,
connected. Because, there's nothing worse than being in bed with someone. You're both lying in the same bed, and you're both like, there's
different
no
agendas.
communication. It's like there's a block of ice in between the couple, and
Yes,
there's a high level of frustration. And I
yes,
think
and
that,
no
yeah,
communication.
yeah,
No
yeah,
communication.
yeah.
Yes,
And there's that feeling of sadness, helplessness,
yes,
frustration. And it's like, the longer it continues, sometimes people wonder, well, why did my spouse walk away? But sometimes it's the buildup, right? And the
it is.
high level of frustration. And after a while, it's like, you know what? I think that's where
Yeah,
affairs end up being able to slip into
you
the
give affairs
marriages.
you give
Yeah,
affairs room to grow, and it's true when I say divorce doesn't happen because of something that happened last week.
it's true.
And as much as we would like to think all I did was leave the house and didn't say anything, and that's what led to our divorce. No, it wasn't.
It's
It's
true.
all those nights of we're laying here together in the bed, but we're really not together in the bed,
That's the truth.
right?
That's the
So
truth. I was
that's
married for just about 25 years. And
mhm.
to be honest with you, I wanted to be divorced from around year 4. But it's like I hung in there because I kept being hopeful, thinking that things would change. But it's like, like you said, divorce didn't happen just no. It
No.
was something that this person thought about for a long time and finally
Yes.
decided to act upon
Yes.
it.
And Brie, your story is so common. Like
Yeah,
the vast majority of women that I talk to, they've wanted out since around year 5.
yeah,
But for whatever reason, they stuck it out, right? For maybe it's the children, maybe
yeah.
it's a lot of times it's the children, a lot of
Yeah,
time it's the rest of the family, the extended family. A lot of times it's the church. It's just
yeah,
other reasons why women don't walk away. But for the majority of women that I speak to, it's yeah, I was kind of done. And right around year 10, I was done.
it's it's true, and the sad thing about it, Georgia, it's like it's to me there's simple fixes that could really resolve everything.
Talking is that simple fix. Talking.
Communication is
Communicating,
everything,
listening,
right?
talking, knowing when to shut up, knowing when to speak. Just all the things about communication, it would be relevant at this time.
I definitely agree. Now, my next question is, and I know for many people this has to be a struggle, but for those who suffer from incontinence,
Mhm,
what can they do in order to still enjoy a healthy sex life? I know that it has to be embarrassing
mhm,
to have that issue. And then, you think about sexual contact with someone and you're having this issue. Personally,
mhm.
I think that if you're open and honest enough and feel safe enough to have that conversation with your spouse, I mean, I'm sure you're about to tell us what can take place, but I mean, I'm hoping that the viewers who are listening tonight will really understand that it's not the end of the world because you're having health issues, and you can
Yeah,
speak to someone like Georgia that can get you on the right track.
yeah.
But what can a person do that's suffering from incontinence? How can they enjoy a fulfilling sex life?
That this is such an important question, Grace. Such an important question. And I want to answer it, but before I do, I want to say the incontinence that you're talking about is so much more common than people admit.
Yeah,
It's and also we want to think that, oh, this happens to old women or even old men. No, women in their 30s, 40s, 50s. There's not an age of woman that does not experience some form of incontinence at some point for whatever reason, whether it's temporary or whether it's a permanent situation. And at no point am I ever going to say either that it's permanent.
right.
It is fixable. Usually it is fixable, but I'll tell you why we do nothing about it. We live in a society where women really got the message that once you reach a certain age, some things are going to happen to you. And when those things happen, that's just it. You just accept them with open arms and you don't do anything about them. And so women suffer in silence. Oh, I guess I'm there. I guess the things that happen are happening and there's nothing that can be done about it. So I want to say before I say anything else, absolutely not true. If you suffer incontinence, there are things that you can do. The pelvic floor exercises that no one taught you about or told you about exist to help women suffering this condition and men and men. I don't want to single out men in this. We also have medication that can help, exercises that can help. There are things out there that can help. But let's just say you choose not to and you've accepted your fate in terms of incontinence. Um, Simple strategies before you get into intimacy or get into sex. Empty your bladder first. Go into the event with an empty bladder. Um, Avoid positions, certain positions that's going to put pressure on the bladder. And you know yourself and you know your partner, right? So try to avoid positions that's going to press on your bladder. Um, there's a thing called sex blankets or sex towels or sex. They're not pads, they're really towels and blankets, but they have this material on the inside of it that absorbs whatever it's supposed to absorb, spills from the moment. So once you take care of the physical pieces of it, the bladder emptying, the the position changes, we also have to talk about the psychological safety involved.
Yes.
So if you exist in a relationship where it's not psychologically safe to talk about issues of incontinence, to say that this is a sensitive subject for me, and if you don't have this reassuring partner that's going to say, listen, babe, I understand, I know, I don't care, we're going to do the things we need to do to make sure we take care of that, but that doesn't stop me. I think it's the shame that's surrounding it, because we see it, and I'll say visibly, more in women than we do men. It becomes such a shame point for women, but men have their own issues too with
Yes.
incontinence. It's just that it's not as noticeable, right? But the emotional and psychological safety that has to be present in the relationship cannot be stressed enough. It's something that you have to be willing to talk about and have to have the right partner to talk about. And also be willing to look into it, right? Not accept it as your destination.
Yes.
Incontinence is not your destination. There are people out there that do the work each day to help you with those pelvic floor muscles, to help get the condition back in check or a little less severe than the way you're experiencing it.
And now, would you say for the partner that has had the guts to have that honest conversation with their partner,
Mhm.
you know, there are some people when conflict arises, they use certain things to throw it back in their partner's face to embarrass them. I'd like
Mhm.
you to address how important it is when a person has placed their trust in you, especially for a declining health issue as they are aging. How
Mhm.
important is that level of trust that person has placed in you? And how how damaging is it when you have used personal information to hurt a person, to bring them down a notch or two?
Mm, Bree.
Because we know that it
We
happens.
know.
Yes.
Listen, let me share this with you. As a counselor, I do this discovery session with every client that I meet because I want to tell them that you need to check me out to see if I'm the right counselor for you. Because I am going to tell you things, or I might ask you things that you're very uncomfortable with. And I feel like, I'll say, I'm asking you because sometimes we live in this bubble and no one has held the mirror up to us to show us certain things, or maybe we don't want to see them. But then going back to your question, is that the partner you want?
That's right.
Is that the person that is safe for you? How can you lay in safety, in comfort, in peace, in wanton desire with someone who is going to use your vulnerable information to shame you, to further reduce you? Then is that a person that you want? And then I'll hand you the tissue box. Because is it? The person People who love you don't intentionally hurt you.
Yes.
People who love you really should want to see the best of you. And when they intentionally use information to hurt you, shouldn't that make you stop and ask some questions?
I mean, that is the truth. And I would say for married couples, when we remember the vows in sickness and in health, well, sometimes this is a part of the that comes later in life. And I
Hmm.
don't think these things should be used as an excuse to run off and have an affair or dump a person because you know what, you're broken down now. You're no good
Yeah,
to me.
that's not your person.
Right.
And I want to say to you, when that person runs off and has an affair or whatever, I want to say to you, congratulations, the trash took itself out.
Yes. You know what? I totally agree. And I would, what I would like to say to the men out there is if you're having an issue, going from woman to woman will not resolve it. It's not going to. If you're struggling in certain areas, having affairs and jumping from woman to woman is not going to help you. I
That's a
think
different
that,
topic, Bree. That's a different
yeah,
topic.
yeah, I mean,
That's a whole
definitely.
topic on
And
its own.
I think that it's sad to know there are people like yourself who are out there to help, and people don't take advantage of it.
And people
That,
don't know. A lot
yeah,
of people don't know. It really is our society, just we have a lot of improvements to make, right?
I agree.
I want to say it was just the other day that mental health got its fair
Yes,
share.
it's
Mental health for a while there had no recognition. It was such a stigma. It was such, now everybody talks about their mental
it's
health,
true.
right? Well, just know that sexual health is way behind right there as well. And especially for women. Not so much for men, but women.
Yes,
Women are not, women don't often come forward to see about their sexual health because what is it, right? What is it? And the things that they are going through from a sexual standpoint, they just assume is what it's supposed to be.
right.
It's the message that we receive that we're supposed to not enjoy intercourse. We're supposed to not speak up on our sexuality.
True.
We're supposed to take the pain that comes with this topic. We're supposed to. So we don't even know that counselors and therapists and sexual medicine exists. Actually, they where would they know that from?
I mean, and that is true because I think back to, I'll be 63 this year, and I think back to the things I heard growing up. Good girls don't enjoy sex. It's things of that nature. It's like, oh, you're a whore. That kind of thing. That stigma was attached to women
Mhm,
because they enjoyed their sexuality
mhm.
and they embraced it. And
And
I
Bree, this
think
is across cultures,
it, and
across
it,
cultures,
and it's
across
sad.
generation. Yeah, that's the
I
message.
think it's sad because as women, I think we've earned the right to embrace our sexuality as the men have for all these years, because it's like, why does a man get a pat on the back? Do you get what I'm saying? But for a woman, if you're doing the same thing, you're judged so harshly for it. And I think that younger women, especially women who they may be inexperienced and they're not sure of certain things, I think that older women should be able to sit and talk to them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying give you a play-by-play book, but
Right.
be able to encourage you and give you some. I mean, because look, to me, it's very important. I mean, it's like, I know for some people, sex is like breathing. And I
Mhm.
think we should be comfortable. What is wrong with saying that you enjoy sex? What is wrong with saying that you're struggling with sex? What is wrong with us having these conversations? I think more conversations like this should be taking place.
It's wrong because, and we're not going to go deeply into this, but
Yeah.
to answer what's wrong with it, religion says something's wrong with it. My culture that I come from says
Yeah.
something's wrong with it. My ancestors said something's wrong with it. So it must be true, right? And so I'm not going to question it. You're not going to
Yeah,
question
it's
it.
true.
No one is questioning it. So we just keep moving it from generation to generation until you have people who say, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. And so grateful for those people because now we're peeling back all the nonsense and helping women understand that you don't have to buy that narrative, that you can and should and must enjoy pleasure the same way our men folk do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that it would definitely improve the connections. If both partners are feeling satisfied, they're feeling fulfilled, they're able to sit and they're able to talk about things,
Yes,
the likes and the dislikes, this is what works for me, this is what turns me on.
the conversation that should happen before the relation, before the
Yeah.
wedding, right?
Yeah, I mean, and to me that's the truth, because there are men out there, especially, listen, as you're getting older and things are not the same, I think there's a level of honesty that needs to take place. Jan says, yes, please peel back the nonsense.
Peel back the nonsense.
Yes,
And
Jan.
the thing is, Brie, I recently had a meeting with a group of men,
Hmm.
a grown men, adult men in relationships with wives, and I peeled back the layer of nonsense for them. I helped those men understand what a woman's body goes through
Yeah.
in during and after midlife.
Yeah.
It was so well received. There were some men on the program that were even just upset that they didn't know this.
Wow.
And why didn't they know this? And so my question was, who was supposed to teach it to you? Society was busy telling women to stay in the back, stay in the corner. Nobody wants to know about you and what's going on in your lower regions or any region for that
Yeah,
matter. So where would you have gathered this information from? Your grandfather wasn't going to tell
it's
you.
true.
Your pastor is not going to tell you. Your mother will never breach the subject. So it's it's no wonder you don't know as a man. It's no wonder that when your wife gets to a certain age, she's pulled back into herself because of some of those things that you
Yeah.
mentioned, right? Those physical changes that occur. But she can't talk to you about it. And so you don't know about it. So earlier you mentioned the affairs and the divorce, and you're thinking she's changed, there's something about her. What the thing about her is, there are things going on with me that I can't even share with you.
Yes.
And you see it as a stick in the middle of our relationship. I see it as, I can't talk to you about this stuff.
Right. It's
And so
true.
that's why you find yourself out there. It's the conversations that we can't have. I can't tell you about my physical things. And also, you as a man, your machine's not working like it used to either. And you're suffering your own bit of shame with that.
Yeah.
And so, how do you prove it? How do you prove to yourself that you're as virile as you used to be? You go out there and you find you the next 25-year-old.
Right. It's
just to prove
which
to
I think is
yourself.
which I think is so sad. And you know, what would you like to say to the individuals who are too embarrassed to speak to their spouses or their medical professionals about a diminished sex drive? I remember when I went into perimenopause, I didn't even know
Mhm,
perimenopause existed. All I know is that all of a sudden at night, I was kicking the covers off. I was pulling them back on and kicking them off. And I had brain fog. I thought I had early onset dementia. I was sweating like crazy. I couldn't wear makeup anymore. And I just didn't understand what was happening to me. And I honestly thought I was losing my mind. And I felt disappointed that no one had shared this information with me. You
yeah.
know, it was such a time of frustration, and the last thing I wanted was to have sex. I don't want to be touched. I didn't want, my ex-husband, I know he would get frustrated with me, but I would try to explain to him, when you
Mhm,
lie next to me, it's like his body heat. I felt
mhm,
like I was sleeping in an oven, and it
mhm,
was unbearable. And I
mhm.
think he took it very personally, but it
Yep.
was so physically uncomfortable. When
Mhm.
you can't see because you feel like you're in an oven, it's the most miserable feeling.
Well, and also just your mood is off and you don't even
Yes,
know if you like him,
it's true. It's true. It's the truth.
right?
It's the
And
truth.
and so how do you have the conversation? It goes right back to what we spoke about earlier. There is
Yes.
such shame associated with women talking about personal things,
Yes.
right? But the issue though is the silence is costing us more than the conversation ever will.
Yes, it is.
So it has to be an intentional decision to have the conversation. I am
I agree.
and which is what I go about my book of business is preaching this stuff. You need
Yes.
to talk, 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 tell someone, come to me, I'll give you a script. I have a whole script that I could share with you to go sit and talk to your physician about. And if you don't want to talk, hand it to your physician
Yes.
because you need to talk about it. You need some of the discomforts that women are experiencing. You don't have to experience. Had you talked about it, you would have been able to get some sort of a treatment for it. But
Yes.
we don't speak, we suffer in silence, we live with our conditions and our discomforts.
Which is
Our
so which
partners,
is
same
sad.
thing. It's a challenge, though. It really is a challenge for women to bring this up to their partners as well, because a lot of times the women themselves don't have language for what they're experiencing.
So true.
They themselves don't know. We don't know what it is. We don't know what we're feeling. All I know is something in my body isn't right. I don't have a name for it. I don't have a word for it. I just don't feel right. And I can't explain my emotions. I can't explain anything. And all you wanting me to perform, 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 and I'm in distress basically.
Yeah.
So
That
yes,
that that is that is so true. And this is if there is no other time in marriage where communication was important, this is the
now is
time where that
yeah.
honest, open communication is so necessary. Now, another area where women may struggle and they don't like to talk about it is vaginal dryness. What can a woman do who is going through this issue, vaginal dryness?
Go talk to your provider and get some vaginal estrogen. That's it. You
Wow.
need these women need vaginal estrogen. They need frequent moisturizer use. So let me explain. You mentioned you were not even aware that you were in perimenopause.
Right.
So if you don't know about the period of life that you're experiencing, you don't know to fix it. So
Yes.
again, not every woman suffers from hot flashes. Thank be to somebody out there. I don't.
You're
So
blessed.
not every woman will go through the hot flashes. So when they don't even think about menopause.
Yes.
The vaginal dryness comes, they think it's everything else. Is this some weird form of a UTI? Is this some weird form of a yeast? What is going on with that area? Nobody is thinking about that. We're just putting all kinds of lotions and not understanding the situation. But as the estrogen declines in women,
Yes.
it takes with it all kinds of lubrication and moisture that helps to keep the vaginal area healthy. So as it becomes less lubricated, less blood flow to the area, it it can atrophy or dry out, for lack of a better way to explain it. So of course sex is going to be uncomfortable then and darn near impossible for some women. Some
And
women
you know,
can't
I
even
want you
wear
to
jeans.
explain to the men out there just how painful it is for a woman to even attempt to engage
To-
in sex when it's so dry
so
down
some
there.
women can't even wear jeans during this time. It is so dry. It is just think sometimes I've had women say it feels like my insides are sticking together.
Ooh, that sounds
I've
very painful.
I've heard women say it's like someone has shards of glass dragging
Ooh,
it in there. I've
wow.
heard women describe the burning so severe that they want to take a water hose and squirt it up. All these things that women describe. And imagine laying next to someone and them accusing you of
Yes.
just not wanting it. When they have men have no way of knowing the pain and discomfort and the shame that their
Yeah.
wives may be going through, to the point where they don't want to even say that. Not every woman wants to say, listen, my vagina is burning on fire right now.
It's
Because a lot
true.
of men wouldn't even get that.
It's true.
Yeah. So what helps in this situation is, like I said, vaginal estrogen. You put the estrogen back so that you don't suffer these symptoms. I ask women, do you wear chapstick for your lips? Do you often get dry lips and you vigorously and aggressively rub chapstick on it several times a day? I don't know that there's a woman who uses her chapstick just once a day. No, because our lips dry out and we
Yes.
rub that thing back on aggressively. Well, the other lips need the same treatment. You need a moisturizer that you're using more than once a day.
Jan says, "Hey neighbor."
So
Jan
there are
would switch.
I'm not I'm not fooling with Jen.
Jan is-
we we
but it's
need to
real.
it's real. We need to get the blood flow back to the area. We need to get the moisture back to the area. And
Yes.
sometimes we also need to use a lubricant to get some lubrication back to the area. And just with any other just like any other meds and any other treatment, after you do it for a while, you will improve conditions in the vaginal area.
That's great advice. So Jan said I was responding to Mikey. Okay, Jan. Let's talk about erectile dysfunction. This is a time where I know a lot of marriages fall apart. You know, I've heard people talk about their spouses would that they would rather go hide in a room and masturbate, you know, watch porn, masturbate, things like
Mhm.
that. Husbands would, this is the time they pull away from their wives. And this is the time I believe that if that open communication was there and they came to see someone like yourself, they could go back to enjoying the sex life that they had in their younger years.
Mhm. Absolutely. Um, so ED, the other day I said to someone, I'm pretty sure every 9-year-old out there knows about ED because all the commercials talk about
Yeah.
if you suffer from PE or ED, everyone knows about ED, right? It's the most common sexual concern that men over 50 will face. And actually, men as early as in their mid 30s
Wow.
can also suffer from ED. But if we think about it, it makes every bit of sense why men will pull back when they start to notice issues in this area. A man's whole identity revolves around his penis.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it just does. And they see themselves as the man when that thing is all working, almighty, all powerful. Once that thing decides that it's not going to cooperate like it used to, a man starts to question himself. What kind of a man am I if this thing is not working? So, of course, this is where the pullback comes in. And he's
Yeah.
not going to talk to his wife about that. That is too shameful. What they don't realize, though, is the wife noticed this a long time ago. But because, again, women are not going to talk about these things. So we've noticed that your erections used to be a 10 out of 10. Now they are a 4.
Yeah.
We know what it feels like. So this piece, they suffer in silence with this part. But what that does is, though, it makes things a whole lot worse, because
Yes.
when you see ED in men, a lot of times, and I'm not going to say every single time, but the vast majority of times, it's tied to something else. Heart issues, diabetes, men themselves have hormone issues. Anxiety is another reason. If a man ever has any disappointment with erection, even once,
It creates that,
it
right?
creates
It creates
it
in their
creates
mind.
a
Yes.
loop. Yes, it creates an anxiety loop in him. Is this going to happen again? This better not happen again. And just that thought alone, if he goes into every other sexual relation encounters with the thought is going to block the erection.
Is that called performance anxiety? Is that the
Performance
term?
anxiety, which is what I help men with. So I am a women's sexual health practice, but I do help men with performance anxiety, because then we know that it's not the medication, because they're already on medication for it.
Yes.
Some men have gone through various different treatments and therapies for their ED, and it's when the doctor is looking at them saying, you've gone through all these treatments, you're on the meds. Or here's the part: if they can have an erection and perform alone with porn, but when they're with their partners, it doesn't happen, then it's anxiety.
Okay.
I can do it alone, but when I'm under the gun with eyes, I can't do it, then it's anxiety. And that I can help get them through.
So something, we go back to communication, and I think communication is so important, and
It
I
is.
think that feeling of safety with your spouse, I think you should be able to go to your partner and just be honest with
And
them.
work it out together. Work
Yes.
this out together. A beautiful relationship would be one where a wife might say, "Hey, babe, look, I saw this ad, and this doctor says that. How about you make an appointment?" Or your erection where it is, I'm fine. How about we not think about the goal of erection, ejaculation? We're not there. How about we just get together intimately?
Yes.
Hug, talk, stroke one another, and whatever happens after that will happen. But a man will never get an erection if he's thinking about getting an erection. It won't happen. Or if he thinks you're thinking about it
And judging him for
and
it,
judging
right?
him. So everyone has to take erection off the table
Yes.
and start doing other things. Get in touch with your body in a different way. And if erection comes, it'll come. But the relationship has to be safe enough for those types of discussions to happen and for that level of intimacy to happen. It's just not going to happen when we're on each side of the room judging one another.
Yes. That is so true. Now, what are the guidelines for engaging with a new partner, and what precautions should mature adults consider? I had to ask this question. I watch her name is Life Coach Sean. I like to watch her videos on Facebook.
Mhm.
And there was a video last week. A woman was going on a second date with a man that was in his 70s. She thought
Mhm.
that the first date went very well.
Mhm.
And then he sent a text to her by mistake. The text was for someone else, but he basically was saying in the text what he was planning to do with this woman. And this is a man in his 70s. And I'm thinking, like, damn, like, grow up already. She was very disappointed because she had, and then she's asking, what should I do? And I'm thinking to myself, you even have to ask that question? It's like I would block him and never want to see him again, because I'm like, you're in your 70s and you're still trying to run games on someone. Like, that is so ridiculous. So I'd like to talk about the guidelines and precautions that
The,
should be taken.
the same ones you would take as if he was 40. Really. The misconception, or no, let's talk about two things. We're going to talk about the misconception, and then we're also going to talk about behavior.
Okay.
The misconception that old people, I'm just going to say it the way it's said. Old people are not having sex. It's a lie. Tear it up,
That's the
burn it.
truth.
They are. On the old people side, and I'm just using the words that's used to me, we don't think we need to use condoms or precautions because no one is getting pregnant. There's nobody getting pregnant. We could throw the precautions away.
Oh my
So
gosh.
so they're having sex with everybody and anybody without condoms, without protection. So if you are going to get involved with someone who is 30, who is 40, 50, 60, 70, use protection. Treat it the same way as you would as if the person was 40. STI rates, or, I'm saying STI, which is the approved terms nowadays. Most people know it as STDs, but the rates in the senior population is astronomical.
It's up there, right? It's
For,
up
for
there.
the very reason that I just said. We think we're immune because for some reason we believe pregnancy is the issue, that condoms fix pregnancy, not gonorrhea, not syphilis, not anything else, pregnancy. So because we no longer want to use condoms, everything else that's transmitted is coming home with you. So I don't care if the person is 70, you need to protect yourself. Nothing changes because the person is 70, right? Get
Right.
tested just the same way. You have them test, you test. And we're going to throw the word back in there again, Bree. Have honest conversations.
Yes.
Honest
Yes.
conversations.
Yes. I
I'll
think
wait
it's
till the
important.
end to see if you ask me this one question. And if you don't, then I'll say something again about honest conversations.
It's I think it's just so important. Carol is saying age does not indicate maturity, and that
No.
is so true. And I'm not lying to you. As the years have gone on and I've read about promiscuity in the
Mhm.
senior community, to me it's like there's that saying, like, as you would think wisdom would come with aging, but what I am seeing, especially for, like, I've seen for women who are they're widows, they've not had sex in a long time, and it's like common sense is out of the window. It's like, to fulfill the flesh, it's like they're willing to take that chance, which I think is so foolish.
A
I
lot of
think,
times though,
yeah.
it's a new birth. It's a new birth. I
Yeah, it's true. It's
It's the
true.
part that I was gonna say for the end, but I am now it's looked at like I am now living the life I wanted to live.
Yes. Yes.
I spent my younger years all inhibited,
Yes.
holding back, being worried about the shame. But then when we get to a certain age where our give a damn broke, now I'm doing everything. And there's nothing wrong with doing everything. You need to put some protection in place. And that's the missing part. So
Yes. Yes.
imagine we're out here doing everything with everyone, then hence the STD rate.
'Cause I don't know the statistics, but I know it's high. I'm not sure what it
Mhm.
is for the senior community.
It is high, and I should have brought the statistics with me. No, I didn't think
I
about
meant
that.
I
But
meant to look that up
yeah,
because I wanted to
it's
I
high.
definitely wanted to point that out.
And
Yeah.
actually, but I'll tell you this much I know about STDs. Where the numbers are actually getting lower in other age groups, it's actually higher in the elderly, just because of that. It's the freedom, it's the newfound
Yes.
freedom, and the no one's getting pregnant mentality.
That's a lot to really think about, because to be honest with you, I don't think, like, sex is great, but I don't think it's worth it for, for the STDs. I mean, there are diseases out there that can actually take your life.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
And why
worth it.
can't it be great with protection? It can
Yes,
be great with protection. But for
right.
some reason, we're at 2026 and protection is still frowned upon.
Which is crazy. You would think
Crazy.
in 2026, because
Yeah.
I remember when they first started speaking about AIDS, and they were talking about condoms back then and the importance of protecting yourself. And it's just crazy to think that people are willing to take that risk.
Today.
It's
Mhm.
it is crazy. Now, would you recommend seeing a sex therapist for couples who wish to rekindle the spark, but they're unsure on how to go about doing so?
I would. It's the same way I would recommend a mental health therapist. I'm sorry, a marriage therapist if you're having trouble anywhere else in the marriage, right? Or why wait till we're having trouble to see a specialist to help us?
That's
There
true.
are times in relationships when we feel like we've maxed out. We've done all the things. We've seen all the things. Now what's next? And this is where you start getting into a place where people are going outside, just like you mentioned earlier. And I'm always going to drag communication back into it. Or in this example, someone who is specialized in this area to help you with other things that you can do. People have, I'm sure you're not surprised by this, but there are people in relationships who've been together 20, 30 years and they did not know what their partner's sexual fantasy is. Oh, I
Which is a
didn't know that.
shame.
20 years and I never knew that's what you wanted. Never came up, never came up. And somehow, by the time you saw a therapist or a counselor with the right questions asked, with the right activities given to you as a couple, you discover a whole other side of your partner that you never knew.
Yes.
And it's hard to fix something when you're in it, right? We hire specialists for every other area of our lives to fix issues that we're not the expert at. But then we want to fix a dormant or sluggish sex life, and we don't have the tools or equipment to do it. So going to a therapist, absolutely. It's
That's
not
the, I think
it's
it's
not
the I
saying
think it's the
something's
best thing
broken. It's
to do.
just saying I'm ready for more. I
Yes,
just
and
don't
there's
know how
nothing,
to
I
get
think,
more.
and I think, which leads to my next question. How should a spouse address being sexually dissatisfied with their partner? I mean, I would think that would be a very delicate conversation, but should that conversation take place?
Absolutely. And it's addressed with care.
Yes.
It's addressed with mentioning all the good things, all the positive things, all the nice things, all the things that I like. And then ushering in, but here's what I would like more of. I tell people stay away from going, I don't like this, I don't like that. You never do this, those recipes for disaster.
Yes.
But when we come together in the right format, not when we're mad, not when we're tired, not when there's a rub in the relationship, when we come together under ideal circumstances and say, it's little games, right? I want to tell you a secret about me. I want to tell you something that I like. I want to tell you something that I think we should try. This is how we have conversations. I love when you do this. I love when you do that. But here's what I could use some more of. And then you ask your partner that question. What is it that you want that I'm not doing that you'd like to see me do?
Yes.
It's ways to have the conversation with your partner and not have it turn into an argument of a you never this, you never that, or you always this, you always that.
Yeah, I like how you put that. And Carol says, Also, because of vaginal dryness and erection problems, some people feel condoms make it worse.
Condoms actually make it better. That's the difference. Condoms are good with lots of lube. For some reason, people don't want to bring lube on board. And I'll tell you this, let me just say this, lube is for everybody, including
Okay.
the people who don't have vaginal dryness or vaginal issues. Lube is good, except you're a woman who just uber lubricates anyway. That we're not talking about you, but your average woman out there, you can benefit from adding some lube anyway. For men that suffer with erectile issues, yes, navigating a condom is going to complicate things for them. But then you know what? You've got to weigh my safety.
Yeah.
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 And as a woman, that should be your non-negotiable.
That's right.
I just met you, or I'm just now getting into a relationship with you. I don't know where you've been. Or the two of you take the STI tests and share the results with each other. And
And I
if
think
you're
that's so
clean and I'm clean,
yeah,
then okay.
that's important. I remember years ago, I don't know if you ever saw the movie. Well, it's a documentary called Endgame, and it's about people who found out that they are HIV positive. And there was a woman that she got married to a deacon in her church, and she did not know he was HIV positive. After they got married, she said that first night that they had sex that she felt sick, but she didn't. She thought she had the flu. And she just happened to be reading his Bible, and that's where she found his results. His results were in his Bible. And
Mhm.
she was just so devastated about, by that, because he was a deacon in the church, because he was someone that she knew. She never expected in a million years that her husband would be the one to infect her. So I think that we
Yeah.
honestly need to have these conversations and never
Yes.
assume, never
Well,
assume anything.
the thing is, Brie, we've abandoned or we've ignored some
Yeah.
of the safe rules of relationships. Meaning,
Yes.
if we're going to get in bed together, I will present you my results dated last week. You present me your results. People are not doing that. I
Yeah.
don't care about your results. You don't care about mine. So then you get what I have and I'll get what you have.
Whew. So not worth the risk. I mean, definitely not
Yeah.
worth the
Come
risk.
to me with your results. Let's both go to the doctor together.
Yes.
Let's go over here to the health department. We're going to get our results.
Yes. I mean, I definitely agree with that. And the sad thing is, because I thought about this woman, she waited until marriage. She tried it. She was doing everything the right way. But because he was a man of the church, he
Jan knows
felt
I
like she
can't
could trust.
comment on that deacon
Yeah.
thing. I will not comment on the
Yeah.
deacon thing
Yeah. No,
because
yeah, it was sad.
women will lose all that they have because they trusted in a man in the church.
It's true. It's
And,
true.
and same for men,
Yeah,
trusting in a
it's
woman
true.
in the
It's true.
church
I think we have to go deeper. We
as
have
if
to go
they're not
deeper.
regular human beings.
It's
I
no,
don't
it's
know.
true. Honestly, it's the truth. I think we need to go deeper and like communicating and really taking the
Yes.
time and getting to know people, because there's just too much to lose. So I think we do have to be very mindful. Now, is there a greater need for personal hygiene and grooming for aging adults?
Okay, two things. As hormones decline, certain other body functions are affected. So sweat glands are affected. The incontinence issue that we brought up earlier becomes an issue. So imagine incontinence and sweat and moisture living in any environment. Yes, body odor changes, and sometimes I don't want to say it's a bad odor, but it's a different odor. It's an odor that you didn't have before. And it does happen. The hormonal imbalance will
Yes.
bring on certain odors. What else will do it? Medication. Medication will do it, right? And so some people are on these long-standing meds that changes their hormones, and also for women, your pH. So when you put all those things in the pot, it makes a soup of just a bad environment for odor, where odor can live. But it's not to say that you have to smell malodorous. You just take care of it. You use the appropriate odor repelling, wear the right garments. It's not a hygiene issue, or it shouldn't be a hygiene issue. We just wear and use the things that will take care of the, I call it the mass production of moisture. It's a mass production of moisture, or use the various things they sell over the counter to ward off moisture and body odor. You don't have to keep it because it comes, and for some people, I hate to say, you could shower all you want, you still cannot get rid of odor. It's not a shower fix. It's fixing what's causing the odor.
See, I didn't know that, and that is good to know. And I guess this is a time where maybe we should make a visit to the doctor or someone
Mhm.
like yourself to get the
Mhm.
information. Yeah.
And certainly things like, especially for women, I'll speak on women this time. When we're on medications and things that changes the pH, the vagina's pH, we have to be really careful. And then we also have to get into see our providers to help us put things back into balance. See, when you get older, life becomes balance. You got to balance hormones, you got to balance your medication, you got to balance everything. And once you bring things back into balance, we wouldn't need to suffer the things that come with the imbalance. But what will happen is we will suffer because we don't say anything, or because we've accepted that, oh, well, it just comes, I'm 55. It just comes with it. It doesn't come with it. It comes with it, but you don't have to accept it. You can do something about it.
Yeah, which
People
is
are out
good
here
to
to help
know.
you.
That is so good to know.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what should couples do if one partner no longer desires sex or intimacy?
Talk about it and go see a counselor.
Yeah.
Someone, when this happens, no one's listening to anyone. The person who's not receiving sex deserves to have sex if they want to. The
Yes.
person who doesn't want to have sex deserves to not want to have if they don't want to. But imagine those two people in a room, they
Ooh.
I can tell you they won't see eye to eye.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where you need to say, we need to go see someone to help you with your words, help me with my words, help us come together to see what we're going to do about this. Because again, we explore what's going on with the one party. A lot of times, what I see often is with women, I hate when people say, oh, it's just her hormones, minimizing that a woman who's been fed up for many years finally just decided that, nah, nope, I'm tired of
Yeah.
looking at the ceiling fan and deciding to balance my checkbook while you're busy on top of me. I
Yeah.
just don't want to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
so I've come into women in my practice who they decided they no longer want sex because it has never been anything for them to love or look forward to. They just made a decision that I'm not going to do it anymore because it's not anything worth having. I always say, is the sex that you're wanting worth having? If it's on the man's side, we look at why he doesn't want to anymore. A lot of times we see they're having these erectile dysfunction issues, and rather than diminish themselves anymore with the dysfunction, they just tap out.
Yeah.
So what is it? And because the two people won't have that conversation without going to war, this is when you bring this conversation to someone else and let someone help you figure out the root cause.
Great information. Let's talk about relaxation and fun activities outside the bedroom. And
Mhm.
are they important?
Yes, because that's where foreplay begins,
Yes.
especially for midlife women.
Yes.
Foreplay is not the 20 minutes where you want to rub things or poke things. That nothing happens there. Foreplay for women begins a lot days ago, early this morning when you woke up and decided you're going to help me put on my necklace and you're going to gently kiss my neck for no
Yes.
reason with no agenda. This is what we call touch, kiss, words without agenda. Without agenda. You're saying this to me, you're doing this to me, and you're not expecting anything. We're going out together to ride a bike. We're going out walking, simple walking. We're going to sit and watch, I don't know, a movie. Whatever we're going to do without an agenda is extremely important in relationships because that's where connections are born.
Yes.
Okay, that's where conversations open up. And because you're making me feel safe, I may feel more inclined to say some things to you that I
Yes.
probably wouldn't have said before. And so these activities are important. I hate to see people get married and stop doing things together.
Yeah.
I can tell you that marriage is not going to get too far
True.
because the things that you used to, the things that brought you together is what you need to continue to do. And as the years go by, you build on those things and start to do more things together. But you typically see the opposite, right?
It's
Now
true.
we've come together. Now you have your girlfriends and the things that you do. He has his friends and the things that he does, and this togetherness no longer exists.
Which is unfortunate, which leads to the last question of the evening. Let's talk about why should we prioritize the relationship?
Because that is the priority. That's it. The relationship is the priority. If you still value your relationship, if you still want it to get somewhere, you have to intentionally, because it will not happen by accident. I say two people don't stay together by osmosis. Never. It's intentional acts done together that keeps people together. I say this all the time, and Jan will confirm. I will always love you. I don't always like you.
Yes.
And so we have to do things to continue to like one another. And can I tell you, people think love is enough. It's not.
No, it's not.
We can have a different topic, Bree, to talk about how it's not love that brings desire and and what do we call breathless sex. It's actually like
Yes.
that brings that type of desire. That brings, why do people think cheating works so much? Usually people are not in love with who they cheat with, they like them a lot.
Yeah.
And because those people are doing the things that they've stopped doing in their relationship, it feels so spicy and so good that they go after that. But you keep those spicy, good things in your relationship and continue to like one another,
Yes.
and you won't have to worry about intimacy or sex going dwindling.
Yes. I tell you, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm hoping that you will come back because I would definitely like to continue on this
Absolutely.
topic. Now, do you have a website or, where you can be contacted for anyone that
Yes.
would be interested in your services?
Yes. So if a woman or a man with performance anxiety wants to reach out to me, I'm at www.sheemancipates.com.
Okay, great. And I tell you, do you have any closing thoughts? Like I said, I learned a lot from you, and I'm hoping, I know that there are viewers out there that they would never comment on this topic, but I'm hoping that they found the information
Yes.
very useful. And I'm telling you, please don't suffer in silence.
Well, keep talking.
Communicate.
What I have
Yes,
to say in closing, talk, talk, talk. There's nothing too shameful if two people are in a relationship already. If your relationship is safe, then it should be a place that you can talk, where each of you can be vulnerable together. And if it's too heavy for you, then together source it out to someone else and let them help you make a decision together to get the problems addressed together.
Definitely. And for the woman that, you know, for the woman who just never embraced her sexual being because of the mixed messages she received when she was younger, what would you like to say to that woman before we close?
Come on over. Let me help you find you in all things sexuality because you deserve it. You are
Yes.
not what they tell you that you are. You're who you say you are. And you deserve what you say you deserve and not what anybody else have prescribed for you before you were even born.
Amen to that. Thank you so much for this conversation, Georgia. And I'd
Absolutely.
like to wish everyone a blessed week. I'll definitely be in touch with you, Georgia. I'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, Bree. Thank you
It's
so
been a
much.
pleasure for me too. Take care, everyone. Be
All
blessed.
righty.